First, I really want to thank those of you who came up here today and gave victim impact statements. It was very important for me to hear those, and they're taken into account in my sentencing decision, and I want you to know that. So when I'm sentencing a defendant as a judge, there are certain principles that I think about. Attorney Morris touched on one, general deterrence. And that is sending a message to society at large that there's certain behaviors that will not be tolerated. And Mr. Gillis spoke to this in his victim impact statement. He said such acts of violence will not be tolerated in our society. I think it's important that people know that it is not okay to shoot people and kill them who drive down your driveway. I know in the county where we live and probably other countless rural areas, it's a pretty common occurrence to drive down a wrong driveway. It's a common occurrence for somebody to come down your driveway. And there's definite choices that you get to make at this time, and the choice made in this case is absolutely not acceptable. Then I'm also guided by the principle of specific deterrence. Specific deterrence is directed directly at the defendant. It's saying, basically, you need to be prevented from doing things in the future. And Mr. Monahan, I think if you were released from prison, and people who commit murder generally don't recidivate a lot. They don't commit the same crime again. It's a low rate of recidivism. But with you, I think you really could possibly do the same thing again. It's obvious to me that you feel justified. You don't take any responsibility for the outcome of your actions. You just don't get it. The first thing you do on the witness stand when you come up here and testify is you made a joke to the jury about them finally being able to see your face. You senselessly took the life of Kalen Gillis, and you have the gall to sit here and talk about how you plan to finish up the work on your house and race motocross in the future. You don't deserve that. What would make you think that you deserve those things? Even when your attorney tried to get you to acknowledge that your home wasn't being invaded, you couldn't do it. You hesitated and said something to the effect of, "It sure felt like we were being invaded." He was trying to elicit out of you a response that somebody who took responsibility for their actions would have, and you couldn't even do that. Your first instinct was to lie about what happened, and you repeatedly lied in such a cold and calculating manner. And the jury saw right through your lies, and they rejected them. In killing Kalen Gillis, you took away a friend, you took away a girlfriend, you took away a daughter, a granddaughter, and a sibling. You took away so much unrealized potential, her potential to enrich other people's lives and to contribute to our society. You also traumatized the young men and women who mistakenly drove up your driveway that night. You will scar them, this will scar them and traumatize them for the rest of their lives. Any remorse you have isn't for the harm you've caused. The only regret you have is that you're finally facing the consequences for your actions. You murdered Kalen Gillis, you shot at a car full of people, and you didn't care what would happen, and you repeatedly lied about it. You deserve to spend the maximum time in prison allowable under our law. And I don't make this decision because it's easy. I make it because it's what's deserved. I make it because it's what's just. So as to the conviction of murder in the second degree, I sentence you to a term of 25 years to life in prison. For the conviction of reckless endangerment in the first degree, I'm following the law. I'm going to sentence you to a concurrent 2 1/3 to 7-year period of incarceration. As to tampering with physical evidence conviction, I can see why a court, might perhaps go along with concurrent because you received a 25-year life sentence to begin with. But there was a delay. There was a lot of time you had between when the police showed up and you tampered with evidence. You had a lot of time to concoct lies. You had a lot of time to do things to the weapon, to tamper with it, basically, to try and destroy evidence. And because of that time that you had to think of those things and the conscious efforts that you made to tamper with that evidence, I think it is right that you receive a consecutive term of incarceration for that charge. So that's a 1 1/3 to 4 years of imprisonment. There is a matter of a $300 surcharge, $25 crime victim assistance fee, and a $50 DNA fee. Attorney Frost, is your client in a position to pay those funds now?
Not today, Your Honor.
Okay. And then we also have a couple pieces of paperwork that need to be gone over. One is a signature to authorize for DNA collection from your client, and the other is a notice of intent to appeal. We'll give those to you now for you to go over with your client. Okay.
On count 3 charges that were consecutive or concurrent.
Consecutive.
It's consecutive to you.
We have a written form. We'll get to you. Yeah.
Judge, if I could, while we're waiting for the form, I would just need to come by objection just for consecutive seconds.
Noted. All right, and what's being prepared right now, Mr. Monahan, is a notice of intent to appeal. Just make sure to go over that with your attorney and make what selection that you think is appropriate. Anything else you need, Mary Kate?
All right.
All set?
Hey, I'm just doing the commitment.
Okay. Oh, no, has been anything else you need us to cover? Okay. All right, we received the notice of intent to appeal. Anything further from the people?
No, thank you.
Anything further from defense counsel?
Nothing wrong.
All right, sir, you're remanded to the custody of the Washington County Jail. Then you'll be transferred to the custody of the New York State Department of Corrections for service of your sentence. We're concluded.
Bye, Kevin. Bye, Kevin.